All right, I want to welcome everyone to our live Saturday morning presentation. We have a lot of material to cover, and as you can see by the opening, our topic is keeping your clients. As you develop your synergy business, hopefully you understand the importance of clients, customers to create cash flow. In fact, part of our 10-10 Club, and one of the things that we try and help you understand in the 10-10 Club, is that the first 10 of the 10-10 Club represents your customers, because your customers create cash flow to operate your synergy business. And in the 10-10 Club, the goal is to have enough customers to build your customer base so that you have 10 customer orders or more on a monthly basis. Now, if the average order is 150 CV of volume, and you've got 10 customer orders for that month, you're going to create 1,500 CV of volume. Now, one of the ways that we get compensated in Synergy worldwide is what's called elite rebates. On our Tracking Center 1, anything above 150 CV of volume, we get paid a 25% elite rebate. So as you can see in this formula that I have here, we've got an average order of 150 CV. If we've got 10 monthly orders, we created 1,500 CV. We subtract out the threshold of 150. That leaves us 1,350 in CV, 1,350 CV that's eligible for a 25% rebate back from Synergy Worldwide, what's called an elite rebate. So that creates for you $337.50 in elite rebates or cash flow to operate your Synergy business. Now, you can stop at that goal, or you can continue to build your client customer base. So let me give you an example. I've pulled up Arnold Broad. I looked at what Arnold's numbers were for the last 4 months. Arnold has been engaging with his clients. He's been keeping his clients, and I'm going to show you some things that Arnold does to be able to keep his clients informed and in front of his clients, so that when they're done with the jumbo jars that they buy, they order another one. So here are Arnold's numbers, the CV value on his Tracking Center 1 over the last 3 months. 4175, 4250, and last month he had 4750, 4,750 CV of volume. Again, when you subtract out the threshold and you multiply the balance by 25%, you can see that consistently for the last 3 months, Arnold has earned over $1,000 in elite rebates to operate a Synergy business, or to put that money into whatever he wants to use it for. So your customers are extremely important to create the cash flow to operate your Synergy business. And over the last month, we've been taking you through the Synergy funnel. We talked about step 1, creating awareness and attracting people to you through your mission statement, your branding message, how I use YouTube videos, your elevator speech. You know, we again, if you go into our Synergy family, if you go into that website and you click on your Synergy funnel, you'll be able to go through these different steps, and you'll have the recordings from when we did the step 1. There's a recording of that Saturday presentation. There's a link to the PDF where I showed you the elevator speech and how you can adapt that. And then step 2, consideration convert. Once you've created attraction, you created awareness and people are attracted to your message, then how do you convert them? Well, you've got to help them, give them the right tools and resources that will resonate to what their situation is, so that you increase their probability of either becoming a customer or joining you in the Synergy business. And then we spent time in step number 3, clients and engage. You know, once you have a customer, you want to begin to transform that customer into a client by informing that person, reinforcing that they've made a good decision, doing proper follow-up, as David talks about, so that you can make sure that that customer is using the product properly, so that they're having a good experience with it. Or if you've got distributors that have come on board, you need to engage them, invite them to the Saturday training that we're doing right now. Even though we record this, make sure if they can't make the Saturday training that you at least give me their name and email address, so I can add them to my MailChimp account, so that on Tuesdays, when the email goes out, it will have the recording of today's presentation. So if they can't be on Saturday, they can at least listen to it on Tuesday. Or if you've been in on the Saturday one like you are today, maybe there's some things that really resonate with you and you'd like to be able to review it again in more depth and detail. Well, now you've got the Saturday recording that comes out on Tuesday. It's always posted up on our YouTube channel for our Synergy family. And if there's a PDF attached, like today, I'm showing you a PDF. So I will put this PDF onto the specific page on our Synergy family website called Your Synergy Funnel in step number 4, so that you can, again, watch the video, use the PDF, and as you bring other team members into Synergy Worldwide, you can use that page to begin to help teach them how to create their funnel, how to put people into their funnel, and how to move people down through their funnel. And today we want to look at step number 4, where we talk about retention, specifically to customers who have become clients, and understanding how to retain them so that they're continuing to buy product from you and Synergy Worldwide as you continue to grow and develop your Synergy business. Now, what I did is I did a Google search, and you can do a Google search for, you can use a simple Google phrase called keeping your clients, and you're going to see a ton of different articles, 6 ways, 10 ways. I decided to pull this one from Inc. So it's a respected magazine. It's a respected organization designed for entrepreneurs. And they had an article called 9 Simple Ways to Keep Customers Coming Back. So you can see the 9 ways that they've listed here. I'm not going to read them because we're going to go through each one of these. And I'm going to show you how I and others utilize these 9 different ways to be able to keep our customers and create customers who become clients, and then clients who become advocates. And we'll spend more time on advocates and referrals in a future Saturday presentation. But today, you can see that the first one is stay in touch. So how do you stay in touch with your clients? How do you keep them informed or keep your presence in front of them? Well, there's a couple different ways. I use a technique called email newsletters. Some people might do monthly snail mail letters. Whatever you choose to do, you need to be in front of people on a consistent basis. So I'll show you my health newsletter. I'm going to show you Arnold's health newsletter. We use MailChimp. There's other email providers like Constant Contact. I used to use them. Then I switched to iContact. I used them for a while, and then I went to MailChimp. MailChimp is the most cost-effective one. Sometimes it's not as easy to understand the way that they've got it set up, but there's plenty of tutorials that are on YouTube to explain to you how to use MailChimp effectively to set up your list and whatever you might be doing. So Arnold and I both use MailChimp. So let me show you my health newsletter. And I show this to you to give you ideas and things that you can do. My newsletter is different than Arnold's newsletter. There's a little bit more time involved in my newsletter than Arnold's, but again, look at the open rates. I typically get a 21% open rate, meaning that if I sent this out to 1,000 people, 210 people would open that newsletter. Arnold gets an open rate of 40%, which means if he sends out his newsletter to 1,000 people, 400 people are opening up his newsletter. He's keeping himself in front of people. Now, I send mine out on the 8th and the 22nd of every month. Arnold sends his out every Monday. So let me show you first mine, and then I'll show you Arnold's. Now, I'm showing you this. First off, you always want to have a good headline. So in this one, it's 2 articles to empower your heart. So anyone who wants to empower their heart is going to open up the newsletter and want to know what are these 2 articles that Dan has that is going to speak to this. I'm going to come back to Margaret's comment that she had sent to me, or the email that she had sent to me. But this is the email or the newsletter that she got. Again, I branded myself. I branded myself as Dan Hammer Health Ltd, eliminating heart disease through nitric oxide therapy. So that's my brand. And everything that I do for my customer base is designed to brand me and continue to reinforce that I'm a valued expert in this area of nitric oxide therapy. And right up front, I have my phone number, my 800 number. We'll talk about this in just a little bit. So I create a narrative. Arnold likes to use stories. I like to use narratives. Sometimes they're the same, sometimes there's different. So my narrative is Welcome to February, which is one of the busiest months of the year. Here's just some of what has or is going on. Super Bowl Sunday, Groundhog Day, Abraham Lincoln's birthday, Valentine's Day, President's Day, George Washington's birthday, Black History Month. But the one event I want to focus on is American Heart Health. February is American Heart Health Month. Why? Because without a good and healthy heart, you're not going to do well. And once again, I'm extremely disappointed in the American Heart Association for failing to recognize one of the most effective and powerful ways to improve the health and function of your heart. What is it? Well, that's the subject of my blog article titled Nitric Oxide Therapy and Heart Health. This is Nobel Prize winning information that is backed by more than 100,000 peer-reviewed clinical studies. Yet 21 years later, it is still not recognized by the American Heart Association. You need to know about nitric oxide therapy. So what they can do is they can click on this image, and that will take them directly to my article about nitric oxide and heart health. And again, just there's a process of congruency, meaning that when they click on that image, you want them to go to an article that will also have that image so that they know that they're not going someplace that they shouldn't be going to. So the image is there, and then the rest of the story is there. And again, you can go to the American Heart Association's website. You can go into their search bar, and you can search, you can put in the term nitric oxide and hit search. Nothing comes up. The article that came up through that search was cardiovascular disease affect nearly half of American adults. Interesting that when I show you Arnold's newsletter, he's already keyed on to that. And I'll show you that in just a second. So going back to this again, what am I doing? I'm putting a newsletter out to people that are all my customers on the 8th and the 22nd to engage them in useful information that reinforces either their decision to use nitric oxide therapy, or as you can see in this other article, I've got key supplements. My other article was key supplements for heart health. My top 3 recommendations for supplements. CoQ10, if you read the article, it would be CoQ10, omega-3s, and vitamin D3. Now, if you search supplements for heart health, you'll always see CoQ10 and omega-3s. Very seldom do you ever see vitamin D3, but yet vitamin D3 is critically important for heart health function. So anyways, it's a newsletter that I use. Now let me show you Arnold's newsletter. What's his title? A Scary High Blood Pressure Study. What's that study? It's the same study that I referenced, and I didn't pick this up when Arnold sent this out. You know, it's interesting that him and I are thinking along the same track here. That study is the one that I highlight in my blog post, the American Heart Association study, that says that 48% of American adults, 121 million, have high blood pressure. And so he goes on and he shares this, and you can see that basically he's just sharing a narrative or a story, and then he has great videos that they can click onto. The nitric oxide PDF is the same PDF that you guys have in the our Synergy family. He's got his phone number. He's got his email address. Notice what he does right at the beginning. Right at the beginning, call me. He's got his phone number. Email me. Click here. Over here on the right-hand side, want to order? Call me. Email me. Click. So again, he's using a newsletter through MailChimp to stay engaged with his customers, and Arnold gets a 40% open rate. So again, 1,000 customers, he has more than 1,000 customers, but 1,000 customers, 400 are opening his newsletter, and it comes out on every Monday. So that's one way that you could engage with your clients. Get their name, get their email address, and ask permission that you can put them into your database for MailChimp or whoever you're using so that you can stay in contact with them on a regular basis. Now, some people might not want to do that. So you could do snail mail. Maybe you only have 10 customers. And again, if you had 10 customers and you had an open rate of 21%, that means that only 2 out of those 10 would actually open up your email. So maybe it would be more cost effective for you to do a snail mail campaign where on a monthly basis, you created a letter to engage your clients. Maybe that snail mail letter would be, Dear John, I just want to thank you for being part of our Million Lives project and taking steps to improve your cardiovascular health through nitric oxide therapy. I just wanted to share with you today a client that I've been able to work with this month and what nitric oxide therapy has done for my client. And then go on and share what nitric oxide therapy has done. Share the testimony of your client. Make sure that you've got your client's permission to be able to share that information with other people. Or you could do something, John, Dear John, again, same introduction. I came across this new infographic for ProArginine Plus, and I just wanted to share it with you to let you know that when you chose our product of choice, ProArginine Plus, you chose the best product in the industry for creating nitric oxide. Now, I'll quickly go down here. I would have that copied off, and I would put that in with my letter and send it out. So if I'm sending 10 snail mail letters with the recent increase in the post office at 55 cents a stamp, that would have cost me $5.50 to snail mail my 10 customers with something that they would most likely open, because if you handwrite their address and put your label on it in a way that's branded. I don't show you my labels. I didn't think about putting that in here, but my labels are branded to me. The things that I use, everything's branded to Dan Hammer Health Ltd. So when a person gets something in the mail from me, or they get my emails, they know that it's coming from me. I branded myself, so the probability of them opening it becomes greater. And if you do a snail mail campaign, you might get 100% open rate. People open up the letter or open up the envelope, read your letter, and whatever you've added to it. Like in this case, you do a specific letter to highlight this graph to reinforce for them that they made a great decision. Again, you just need to choose a method to stay in touch. Maybe it's picking up the telephone and you'd like to talk to your clients. That works. Use a contact system like David shared with us about 2 months ago, that he uses a database system that you can then put prompts into that database system to say, okay, now they're coming close to using up their product, and it would be a good time to make a phone call to that individual. You just have to do something to stay in touch. Now, does it require work? Absolutely. If you want to be successful in any business, it requires work. Now, I didn't ask Arnold this, but I would hazard to say that the amount of work that Arnold puts into his newsletter, and this is not a negative or positive, is about 2 hours or less. So is 2 hours of your time worth having a 40% open rate for Arnold, where if he sends that to 1,000 people, 2 hours of his time gets 400 people to open up his email? That's a great use of time. That is a most productive use of his time. And if it's less than 2 hours, maybe it takes him only an hour. I mean, there's tricks and techniques in MailChimp that you can just replicate your previous email. And then, like, let's go back to Arnold's email. So this is Arnold's email. In MailChimp, he can replicate his previous email. So all this stuff on the right-hand side stays the same. All this stuff down here at the bottom stays the same. And all he does is just change this narrative. So he changes a scary high blood pressure study, and he changes his headline to something else. So maybe he took 15 minutes to go onto the internet and search some topics. Something spoke to him. He created a headline. He wrote a short paragraph or a short narrative story about it. And again, it most likely takes him an hour to do all that stuff. And now in an hour's time, he can get 400 or more people opening up his newsletter because it speaks to them. And it allows them to call him or reminds them when they need to come, when they're getting close to getting down to that end of that jumbo jar, they can call him for assistance in placing an order. Or they've got a friend that they want to introduce to Arnold to be able to say, hey, just like 2 days ago, I had a person in Florida call me on the telephone, hand his phone over to his friend, and his friend placed an order. So I have a new client from an advocate. Again, you just need to engage people in terms of staying in touch. Now, assume they won't remember you. Well, what do? I send them a refrigerator magnet. I get these off of Vistaprint. You can go to Vistaprint. They're very economical. So I have a refrigerator magnet that I send to my customers so that they can put that refrigerator magnet, guess where? On their refrigerator. So that I'm in front of them as much as possible. Branded, Dan Hammer Health Ltd. in eliminating heart disease through nitric oxide therapy. Notice I don't say eliminating heart disease through ProArginine Plus. I'd get myself into trouble. I'd get Synergy Worldwide into trouble. They'd come and tell me, Dan, you can't say that. But I can say eliminating heart disease through nitric oxide therapy. I'm not going to get in trouble with that statement. And when people ask me, well, how do you do that? Well, our product of choice is ProArginine Plus from Synergy Worldwide, and here's the reasons why. One, it's the only L-arginine supplement recognized by the medical community. It's been listed now for the last 5 years in the physician's desk reference. Secondly, it's the only clinically proven L-arginine supplement in the marketplace. It's clinically proven to produce higher levels of nitric oxide and do it more rapidly than L-arginine alone. But more importantly, it's actually clinically proven to prevent vascular inflammation, which is the leading cause of most cardiovascular health issues. And the beauty about this product is you can put it to the test. They have a 120-day money-back guarantee, so that if you put it to the test and it doesn't meet your expectations, you can get a full refund on the cost of the product. Now, I don't have any notes in front of me. All I've done is my homework. I've learned off of our Synergy family the unique selling points of ProArginine Plus. I shared that to you in less than a minute and a half. And I use it constantly with people who contact me. Well, why should I use your product? That's a great question. Because there are a lot of products out in the marketplace with a lot of statements that are made by companies trying to promote their products. So independent of what I tell you, here's why I use ProArginine Plus and why it's our product of choice. And then I just go down through that list that I just gave you. So don't assume that they'll remember you. You've got to put information in front of you or in front of them so that you can stay on their mind. Now, keep the experience fresh and relevant. Judy talked about doing a podcast. And if she does that podcast, she can post it up to her Facebook channel. Or I know Judy loves to do Facebook Live events. So she can do a Facebook Live event. She can record that on Facebook, and then she can repackage that event. So maybe she does a Facebook Live event, and that whole event is maybe, let's say, 45 minutes long. She could go in there, and she could look at her event. She's got a recording of it off of Facebook. She could take that recording. She could use some software on her computer download that into her computer and edit it. And maybe she wants to break that 45-minute presentation up into some smaller segments, 5 to 10 minutes, specific topics. Now she could take that Facebook Live event and she could create maybe 4 or 5 or 6 different other topics off of that one event that she could keep the experience fresh and relevant to people. Does it require you learning some skills? Yes. Just like you've been in any job in your life, there's skills that you have to learn to become efficient and proficient in what you do. And if you become efficient in what you do, typically it leads to rank advancement in the business that you're with, or they pay you more money because you have greater value to their system. Sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes they take advantage of people. But from my experience, most times when you improve your skills and you become a more valuable employee, the employer recognizes that and you see advancements as well as more pay. Well, your synergy business is no different. As you get better at the skills that you need to acquire to be able to grow your customer base, you're going to create more customers. Now, you can easily go onto YouTube. How do I do a Facebook Live event? Go onto YouTube. In the search bar, type in, how do you do a Facebook Live event? And hit the search. And you'll see video after video after video showing you how to do a live event. Choose the one that is most recent, that also has the highest number of channel views. That will then tell you that the information is current and that people like the information that's being shared. That would most likely be the best video to start with to be able to learn that. What did I do? I've been working on an autoresponder in MailChimp. MailChimp is not intuitive. They designed that system for most likely monkeys, and I don't think like a monkey. However, there's a YouTube video that I used that completely showed me how to set up what they call a workflow sheet, which is my terminology, most people's terminology for an autoresponder. They call it a workflow sheet. So I learned how to do the workflow sheet. And so I now have a 10 or 14-step autoresponder that I'll be launching and helping Judy to launch a whole funnel designed around leaky gut. In a future Saturday presentation, we'll show you what that looks like. Most likely at some point in time, I'll do an actual video to show you how it was created. That way people can watch the video like I did on YouTube to learn how to do a workflow sheet on MailChimp to create an autoresponder. I'll create a video so that other people can learn from the video. There's always people that are out there that you can learn from. YouTube is the best place to go to do that. David does radio broadcasts. He can take that and podcast it and then post it up to Facebook. Or, as I've shared with you, validate their decision with relevant information. I make sure that this flyer, I went to the printer, I took the PDF that's been created. You can find that PDF on our Synergy family in the resource page in the section for nitric oxide therapy. I sent that PDF to my local printer. I had him print 500 of them. And I make sure that every client gets this. Every new client gets it. My existing clients get it, so that I can validate in their mind that, one, if they're a new client, the decision that they made for ProAgent Plus is the best decision. And for an existing client to reinforce in their mind that their use of ProAgent Plus is the best decision, and ProAgent Plus is still the best supplement out there for creating nitric oxide. Surprise them. Use their first name. I'm bad with names. So when someone calls me and they tell me their name, the first thing that I do is I write their name down on a piece of paper. They can't see me do that, but I do it because then I can use their name as I'm talking to them. And if you've got some type of contact system, whether it be like David showed us, or whether you're using some type of paper system, you've got their name. When you call them and they answer the telephone, you can use their first name. People like to hear their first name. Now, David would get their birthdays, their birth date, and then he would send them birthday cards. It's a nice little touch. You know, I get here where I live in Illinois, there's a theater chain called Classic Cinemas. I'm on their email list. They have my birth date. Why do I want to give them my birth date? Because I know on my birth date, they're going to send me an email with a link that I can download for a free movie. So it's worth doing that. It's worth, I mean, they could always find my birthday anyways on the internet. It's there. So I gave it to them so that I could get a free movie. My wife does the same thing. We both have the same birth date, July 8th, different years. So we both get an email in July from Classic Cinemas giving us a PDF that we can download to our that we can download and print off, that we can then take to them, and we get a free movie. Compliments to them. Now, you can't use it for the first week of a first run movie, so you wait till the second week, you know, and then you use it then. But again, you know, surprise them with something. Use your creativity to what it might be.
Hey, Dan, can I add something to what you just said, if you don't mind?
Sure. Yep, absolutely.
You were just mentioning birthdays, and I think that's so important. And of course, I advise those in the synergy business to take notes when you first talk to the customers and you engage. And of course, in the follow-up, sometimes it takes 3 or 4 different touches before you make a sale. And during those 3 or 4 different touches, they will share with you things that are relevant to their family or maybe to a situation that's going on in their life. And of course, the thing we want to focus on, of course, is their cardiovascular health. And when you call them for their birthdays, you might touch upon those things when you take good notes. And it makes the relationship more personal, and of course, the call of that much more value. So you're establishing a really good relationship with the client just by calling them on their birthdays and just asking them about things that you've talked to before. And it makes them feel like you really care and you really know what's in their life. So just wanted to add that because that does add value.
David, I appreciate you sharing that because as you were talking, I wrote down some things that would also add to that. You talked about taking good notes. All right, so let's say that they've got high blood pressure, and let's say that they're talking about their family and they have something in their family that is important to remember. Well, not just calling them when they have a birthday or sending them a card when they have a birthday. Let them know. Call them. Hey, I just came across what I think is a really excellent article on high blood pressure. David, would you like me to send you a link to that article, since I know that you're working on your high blood pressure and you're using the ProRegen Plus, but you know, there's some things that are in this article that I think would be helpful to you. Would you like me to send that to you?
That would be wonderful.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
what that, David, what that says to that person is, you know, it goes beyond just selling them a product, that you have a vested interest in their success and you want to share good information that will help them address their health issue. Or maybe they have a person that's going to a son or daughter that's going to go to college and they're kind of, you know, worried about the financial costs and stuff. And you come across a fantastic article that talks about, you know, scholarship programs and how easy it is to apply to scholarship programs. But the problem is most people don't know where these things are at or how to access them. If you've got that in your notes, you could call that person. David, you know, I was doing some searching on the internet today, and I by accident came across this article on scholarships that are available to people going to college and how easy it is to access these scholarships. Unfortunately, people don't know how to go about doing it. I remember in our conversation, David, that you've got, is it a son or is it a daughter that's going to go to college?
Correct. It's a son.
So,
You're right.
so David, would you like me to send you the link to this article so that maybe there's some things that your son can do to apply for scholarships to make that to make it easier for him to go to college?
And that's all about relationship building, Dan. You're saying the right things because they're saying it's more than just making a sale. It's about a personal interest in what's important to me.
Hmm.
So yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and does it take time to do stuff like that? Yes, it does take time to do stuff like that. But will you brand yourself completely different in their eyes than anyone else that they're working with? Absolutely. Will that be a process of helping to convert them from being a client to an advocate? The probability significantly and exponentially increases because of those types of things that you're doing. Now, collaborate. I'm all about the Million Lives Project, and there's things that I'm doing to engage my existing clients to become part of the Million Lives Project. There's things that David's doing for the Hispanic Health Initiative to engage the Hispanic community to become part of this overall mission, and how we can help, for David, how he can help 1 million people or more in the Hispanic community understand how they can use nitric oxide therapy to address cardiovascular health concerns, which is rampant within the Hispanic community. For me, it's the Million Lives Project. So, if you're Black, it could be the Black Health Initiative. If you're Asian, it could be the Asian Health Initiative. So again, find a mission, as we talked about in the first step. When you go back up to this flow, this build your synergy funnel. What's the first step? Awareness, creating your mission. If you create a mission, people will resonate. What do you do for a living? Well, I'm part of the Million Lives Project. And our goal is to help 1 million people or more understand how nitric oxide therapy can be a natural way to address most cardiovascular health concerns. So let me ask you a question. Who do you know that has high blood pressure or diabetic complications? So I just shared my mission, coached in nitric oxide therapy, and came back with a question that I know that if I ask that question in any kind of audience that I'm in, 90%, if I ask who here either has or knows someone with high blood pressure, keep your hands up. Who here either knows someone or has diabetic complications, raise your hand. When I ask that, over 90% of the people within that room will have their hands raised. So I know that if I ask that question, the probability is that I'm going to get a positive response. And I can then begin to build off of that positive response. If I get a no, that's fine. I answer a no with this. Well, if you ever run into a person who has high blood pressure or diabetic complications, here's my business card. Please give it to them. Because in the Million Lives Project, I can help them understand how they can apply nitric oxide therapy. This is Nobel Prize winning information that unfortunately the medical community has not shared with people, but this is a valid and natural way to address most cardiovascular concerns, especially high blood pressure and diabetic complications. Now, when you hand that business card to them, all right, so let's go back down here. Have the right people on the front line. Well, you know what? That is you. And you need to give them excellent customer service. Just like you appreciate good customer service, you need to at the same time give good customer service. So when a person calls you, you're there to answer the phone. If you don't answer the phone and they leave a message, then you call them back as quickly as possible to be able to talk to them and address the things that they need to, whatever the questions that they have. Make it easy for your customers to reach you. I remember getting an irate phone call from one of my customers, and he says, "I can't find out how to order your product. I've been a long time customer, and I can't even find your phone number." So I let him talk, and the phone number is on the bottom of my page for my Dan Hammer Health website. So I apologized that he couldn't find the phone number, helped him with his order, and then what I did is to make sure that that didn't happen in the future. Even though my phone number was on there, and most people websites, if they want you to be able to contact them, typically put their phone number at the bottom of their page. I chose to change that and put it right at the top in yellow so that people would see that. There's my 800 number. You can call that for direct ordering or more information. So again, make it easy for your customers to reach you. Or like I talked about, do a refrigerator magnet. Spend some time thinking about how you want to brand yourself. And then you can create your design on Vistaprint. That's what I did. Just use Vistaprint, create your design, and then they're very affordable in terms of what you can get from them. We've got listen. Again, that kind of goes into what I just talked about with my irate customer client who consistently bought from me for over a year. My business card goes into every package. My refrigerator had been sent to him, yet he still called me, still complained that he couldn't find my phone number. So I just listened to his complaint. The other day, I have a new client, called me with a list of questions. My husband found on the internet that if you're over the age of 40, that L-arginine is dangerous for you. I said, okay, I've heard that before. That comes from Dr. Nathan Bryant. He's got a product called Neo40, uses a nitrate-nitrite pathway for the creation of nitric oxide. And in his marketing techniques, he was telling people that if you're over the age of 40, the L-arginine pathway is dysfunctional at best, dangerous potentially. Well, that's a lie. That's misinformation. And so I created a video called The Truth About L-arginine because he has an ingredient in his product called L-citrulline, which is converted in the body to L-arginine and then goes down that same pathway that he's telling people is dysfunctional. It's disingenuous at best. And L-arginine is necessary for 7 different metabolic pathways, not just the creation of nitric oxide. Your ability to get rid of urea out of your system is you require L-arginine to do that. So any person, no matter what their age, needs L-arginine. So, again, how do I know this information? Well, because one, I produced the videos. Secondly, I talked to people. Third, I learned. Now, I couldn't produce that video until I actually learned the information. But then I share it with people when it becomes important to share. And what it did for that individual is it completely changed their perception. So that now L-arginine was no longer detrimental or potentially dangerous. That, oh, okay, that information that was being shared is not true. So listen if it's a negative, listen if it's a question, provide them. And then the last thing is show your appreciation. Send a thank you note and mail it. Don't send an email. If you've got a client base and you've got clients that are regular consumers of the product, send them a thank you note in the mail, because the probability of them opening it is about 100 times greater than an email. And if you hand sign it and hand write their address, they'll appreciate that. Special rewards for referral. We'll be talking about this in a future Saturday webinar. And then something that David and I are beginning to explore, we're looking at creating a t-shirt. David for the Hispanic Health Initiative, me for the Million Lives Project, that we would give to people who buy a Jumbo Jar Plus One because they made the best buying decision to address their health issue we reward them with a t-shirt and then help them begin that transition of going from a customer to a client, and then a client to an advocate as they wear that t-shirt, and people wanting to know, well, what's the Hispanic Health Initiative? And on the back of it, David's going to have the 2-minute discipline. I'm not sure what I'm doing on the back of mine, but again, we're exploring this, and we'll show you some ideas and things that we come up with to see if you want to incorporate it. Now, with that said, we're at the top. I say I got some stuff in the chat box. Do I have any questions from anyone while I'm trying to open up the chat box here?
Dan, I just wanted to mention, if I may, about that T-shirt. It's just another idea of how to keep clients engaged with you, show that they're receiving something in exchange for being, let's say, by taking a step. When I talk about the 2-minute discipline, of course, it's the concept of just takes 2 minutes to prepare the nitric oxide supplement, which is pro-arginine, and care for your health. So they're being recognized for taking that step of joining the Million Lives project initiative for the Hispanic community. And that T-shirt that they wear, I'm hoping will promote, will create a lot of inquiries. Why are you wearing it? Where did you get it? What does it mean? It won't say pro-arginine, but it will say Hispanic Health Initiative, of course, heart, and be symbolic of the decision that they took. And of course, that also, I want to create a mental concept in their mind, saying everything they've tried in their life so far has possibly not worked. Why? Because they reached out to me. They were able to connect with something I said, and they're saying, yes, I want to know more. So once I engage with them and we go through the sales funnel and they make a decision to purchase, that means they've taken a step in the positive direction for their health. And at this point in their life, they've made a change where everything else may not have worked for them. This is a change that will work for them. And I want to make them part of the advocacy group through the Hispanic Health Initiative to promote, of course, what we're all about. And that is good health, good quality of life, a change. And as it works, and I won't say when it works, as it works for them, and the people and their family and their friends see the change in their life because they are now, committed to it. It's almost like an evangelist. You have to be like almost like an evangelist promoting your product because of the conviction you have that this is the right thing. So the mindset that I want to create in the customers is just that, Dan, that they've made a step. The T-shirt is just something that we can add as another step that they've taken that convinces them mentally and anyone they come across of their decision in life. So that's what it's all about, and hopefully that will increase sales in the future, and of course create what I hope will be a snowball effect.
Yeah, I appreciate what you're saying. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And as you were talking that, I love talking with you, David, because you give me ideas and things. I'm thinking like on the back of my T-shirt, I know you're going to do the 2-minute discipline because that's a great branding message. Now I'm thinking powered by nitric oxide. And so again, it's just they become walking billboards for you. I got to think this one through for people who might want to use the leaky gut survey in the future for driving weight management, and that, some type of T-shirt, body designed by good gut health. I'm not sure, but something that you reward people with that, achieve success or they make a commitment, and then you bring them into this mission, and they go from a client or go from a customer to a client. And then as you work with them in the mission and recognize people, like that you do, that have great product stories, they got great testimonials of what the product has done for them, moving them from, into the advocacy stage where they're bringing people to events. They're calling you on the telephone. Hey, I need you to contact this person. I just talked to them. They have they have no interest in the business, but they do have an interest in being part of the overall mission, which is, in your case, helping the Hispanic community address cardiovascular health concerns naturally through nitric oxide therapy. For me, the overall community of the United States. And so, yes, I completely resonate with what you're talking about. Thank you, David.
Sure.
Anyone else with anything? And David, not you, David Munoz, but David Martinelli, I saw your comment in there, and I didn't mute people because I was afraid that with what happened with me, I wasn't sure if I did the mute, what would happen. So we had some background noise, but hopefully it wasn't too bad. Anyone else before we say goodbye? All right. I've got one more thing in the chat. John, I'm glad that we triggered your thoughts greatly. That's one of the beauties of being on these Saturday presentations, is because it helps to create ideas. And John, as you've already taken steps to begin to put information up on Facebook, you know, I'll go back, Timothy, I hope you don't mind me sharing this, but what did Timothy do? He took, I got a back link on this. Anyways, he took part, he's on my health newsletter. He took part of my health newsletter and then he put it up on Facebook. I don't mind you doing that. You know, if there's stuff, pardon?
But I told you before I did it.
Yes, I know. And I appreciate that, Timothy. But what I'm saying to people is I don't mind if you take the stuff that I've created and put it up on Facebook to help the mission. The mission is the Million Lives Project. We want to help 1 million people or more understand how nitric oxide therapy can naturally address cardiovascular health issues. And so the more people who are doing that, the greater the probability that we can create 1 million people or more. And if you create 1 million people or more understanding about nitric oxide therapy, that inherently is going to create a wave, a massive movement, and we'll be at the front end of that wave, riding our large surfboard in Synergy Worldwide to be able to help people understand how to use our product of choice, Progen Plus, to improve their heart health. Anyone else with anything before we say goodbye? All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for your time today. We have recorded this, and I will talk to you next Saturday. I think we're doing, Bob and Judy, I think you guys are doing your program next Saturday?
Yes, Dan, we are.
Okay, great.
At least at this moment, we are.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're on.
Okay.
Okay.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.